Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the new LeEco announcement about their new LE phones too. So they announced three different models of phones today, and these different models are quite interesting. Let's just say to be at least. There is the LE2, which is kind of the lower end bracket of the phone, and it contains surprisingly a octa-core processor. There is a LE Pro, which has quite a lot of RAM. It has 4 gigs of RAM, and it's got a similar build to the LE2. And also there's the Max version, which you're going to get a Snapdragon processor in there with 6 gigabytes of RAM. Today I'm going to show you the trailers for these phones up there, and talk about what's changed and what's new with these new LeEco phones. So first of all, let's talk about the flagship models, the LE2. So with the LE2, this is kind of like an upgrade, and you'll see that it looks very similar to the LE1S that I'm holding up here. Pretty much the design has not changed since the 1S, and that's quite expected considering that the LE1S was just announced and released around 6 months ago, so they don't really have that much time to change the design of the phone. The biggest change, of course, is the new processor. It's got a deca-core processor. It's 10 cores on it. That's a significantly different approach from the Snapdragon series, which I'll talk about later. And it's going to give you a significant performance upgrade over the old 1S model. How much of an upgrade that is, you might ask, and that is around a 50% boost according to Antutu ratings. In terms of real-life performance, that's going to be an interesting topic because, as you know, more cores don't exactly mean higher performance. In fact, Snapdragon has really gone down from 8 cores to 4 cores, but each core will be faster. So in terms of real-life performance, the new 10-core processor has yet to be seen, and this is one of the first phones with the new deca-core Helio X20 chip. So I mean, it's hard to say exactly how good the performance is. But what we definitely know is that it's got much better on paper performance. Next up, the biggest change with the LeEco phones is the removal of this socket, the headphone socket. See, now they're kind of just taking the leap forward in terms of tech and going for Type-C sound. So you're gonna plug your headphone into the USB Type-C port instead of the normal headset. What they're trying to argue here is they're going to get much better sound performance. It's called continuous live lossless music. Well, that's going to be really, really interesting because this is one of the first phones with such a feature. It's been rumored that Apple's going to go this way in the future with the next iPhone release, but that's not been confirmed yet. What is definitely sure is that there's going to be not that many headphones supporting this new output method. So it's up to debate whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. But it's definitely something you should take note when buying this phone, that you're not going to be able to plug your normal headsets into it. Next, the biggest change, of course, is the screen. They have a thinner screen for new technologies. They also have a new upgraded fingerprint reader on the new phone. Whilst these features seem interesting, they're not that big of an upgrade, honestly, because the fingerprint scanner on the original 1S is really good already. I can't really ask for more anyways. And a better screen, well, it's not an AMOLED screen, so you're not gonna get the Samsung level of performance there. Not really much else has changed. The bulky design of this phone hasn't really changed much, so they're not advertising any slimming down of these phones. Hopefully that will come with the 2S model that will hopefully come later on this year, but right now there hasn't been much change in terms of the basic design. So if you like the LE designs, well, you're gonna like the LE2. If you don't like the design of the LE1S, and you don't really like, if you don't like this unibody design, then you're really not gonna like the LE2. Personally, I've been preferring the Xiaomi series a bit more. You're gonna pay a bit more for this kind of feel, but I like having glass on both sides and a metal frame instead of an aluminum frame. In terms of the Pro and the Max, the biggest change you're going to see is the processors. So with the Max, you're going to get the Snapdragon processor. So this goes to show that with the Max model, you're going to get the Snapdragon, which shows that the 4 cores on the Snapdragon is still preferred to the lower end model because obviously you're not going to put a shadier processor on a more expensive phone. So this kind of answers the question of which processor is better. For sure, the Snapdragon is better because it's on the Max version. Well, that said, it's got 6 gigs of RAM. This is something like really, really crazy. Even the new Mi 5, like this one, it's got 3 gigs of RAM. Having 6, that's double. That is kind of insane. Personally, I'm a little bit up in the airs about this. Having more RAM means you have a bigger ability to multitask. Hopefully you can open 3-4 games open at the same time and can switch between them and still have plenty of RAM left over. Whilst that seems really, really good, the counter argument to this is the argument Apple's been taking. It's kind of surprising if you actually find how much RAM is in the iPhone 6 and the 6S. There's only 1 gig of RAM in the iPhone 6 and 2 gigs in the iPhone 6S. Apple's really taking a strong stance and saying we're not going to allow the phones to have that much memory because having more memory means there's going to be more programs running, which kind of A, slows down your phone, and to B, takes residual CPU time. So maybe this might be a bad thing. Considering that this is octa-core and you have tons of things in the run in the background, your battery might just burn up like crazy. Just setting up your battery on fire. So that might be a downside, potential drawbacks of the Max model. The camera's been upgraded. There's a 16 megapixel camera on the LE2 and a 21 megapixel camera on the Pro and the Max. So that seems really interesting, and that seems like a much needed upgrade to the original 1S. So guys, that's pretty much the biggest changes in the LE2. Are you guys excited about these changes? Are you guys excited about these new phones? Please post them below. I'm quite excited to see what's going to happen with these phones. I do have to note that LE phones probably do run a lot better in China because of the services they offer in terms of entertainment. That's the biggest thing, of course, is this live feature here. We can play videos on live. Unfortunately, you're not going to get that overseas. So, hopefully sometime in the future they're going to offer that. But anyways, guys, what do you think of these new phones? Post your comment below. Remember, if you like this video, please click the subscribe channel.